Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Thursday edition of the Full Count MLB Sports Betting Show presented to you by SportsMemo. My name is Eric Pauly, and I am very excited to be joined by two amazing guests. We have Ronald Cabang and Kevin Thomas in the house to talk some baseball. Ronald, it's been a long time since I've seen you, but I know you've been very busy this week. How's your week been going? How are you doing today, Ronald?
Man, baseball's been kicking my butt since coming back from vacation, but I'm ready to rock and roll. I like the games today that we're talking about, so hopefully we can turn it around. I know on Tuesday I was hosting the MLB show on Tuesday. I only had that one best bet play that hit, but other than that, there's some close calls here that could have been going my way, but ended up not. So it's a little deflating, but hopefully we turn it around today.
Still have a couple of games left for that regular season to boost that record. Of course, we have all the playoffs, but love to hear it, Ron. Let's get back to the winning ways today. Kevin, great to see you again, as we've been seeing you every Thursday so far. How you doing? How's your week going so far, and how you feeling today?
So far, pretty good. I'm always excited for the weekend and Thursday night football, even though this is a baseball show. You can never forget about football. Most people bet football, but there's still tons and tons of money to be made in baseball, and there's some great lines out there, especially today, that we could take full advantage of. So, looking forward to it.
I cannot agree with Kevin more. This is a time to kind of hone in on some baseball because the odds makers seem to be a little bit busy worrying about Thursday night football, Friday night college football, of course, Saturday and Sunday college and NFL. So this is a great time to maybe find some last minute value. And if you're having a bad season, maybe turn it around toward the end. If you're having a great season, add some additional units to close out the MLB. So we are going to start on our first roundtable game of the day. We're going over the Toronto Blue Jays facing off against the Tampa Bay Rays. We have Jose Berrios on the mound against JT Charcois. I hope I'm not butchering that too poorly for going for the Tampa Bay Rays today. As we know, with the Rays, they're a bullpen team, so it's not like we're going to expect Charcois to be going really more than 4, 5, 6 innings in this matchup regardless. This is a must-win game for both teams. There's really no way else to put it. The Yankees are found their groove again. Both of these teams have ground to make up in the AL East. Probably too difficult for them to come away with that division. Both of these teams really want to make sure they lock in that wild card spot. The competition is a little bit hot there. Both these teams currently are in good standings for a wild card spot, but of course, all you got to do to lock it in is to keep winning. And when you're playing a team that also needs to keep winning, there's only could be one winner in this matchup. So somebody's going to go home a little bit upset today. The Blue Jays are sitting at minus 122 favorites. Rays are sitting at about plus 100, depending where you're looking. Total sitting at 7.5. We're going to start with you, Kevin. What are you seeing in this matchup? Where are you looking to find some value?
Well, the Rays are not happy with their past performance against the Astros, and they're back home where they're 49-28. This is a must-win for them. They need to jump the Jays to secure that wild card spot. They are a bullpen team. They do it better than anybody. So we all know Ryan Yarbrough will come in and finish this game off. Jose Berrios, yeah, he's hit or miss with me. I know he has a good record and all, but I don't trust him here in this spot. I think the Rays, after that Astros game, there was some arguing in the ranks between some of the players and stuff. And they're a professional team. They're more of a pitching team, and they own that ballpark. That is a pitcher's ballpark. And I don't think the Blue Jays bullpen will take down the Rays here. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Rays minus the Blue Jays minus 120. Is that correct?
Yes.
I'm liking the Rays at plus 100. I think they are actually a little bit favored here when I last looked. And I don't like to take favorites, but I think anytime you have a little deception in the ranks and a team at home after a 3-game sweep, they are more than motivated here.
There you have it. We have Kevin Thomas going with the Tampa Bay Rays. I mean, like you said, the way that the Rays got swept by the Astros, scoring just 2 runs in that entire series must have really hurt. We all know that the Rays are a pitching team, and I mean, allowing just 4, 5, and 5 against the Astros for a lot of teams is a win in itself. The Astros, of course, have a fantastic pitching staff themselves. So, 2 runs in 3 games is never going to cut it, no matter how good your pitching staff is. But that must have really stung for Tampa Bay, or a team that's really trying to make up some ground in this wild card race and could not get it done. Blue Jays, on the other hand, they split that series with the Phillies with that loss last night. They had that 3-0 lead going to the top of the 8th, And I know a lot about that because I was all over Toronto again last night. Can't always fall that way. I was on the Cubs yesterday, who did the same exact thing in Miami and got me the win. So you can't get lucky in all of them. Ronald, are you agreeing with Kevin how he broke down this game, or do you have a different viewpoint on this matchup?
Yeah, I'm actually going the opposite way here. I know we talked about Barrios, kind of hit and miss, but Blue Jays are 22-7 when he starts. I know on the road he's a little bit different, right? He's sporting a ERA close to 5 on the road. 6 of the 7 losses when Barrios starts has been on the road as well. But if we're looking at current form, I mean, the Rays are just struggling from the batting perspective. The Blue Jays, they dominate on the road facing starting right-handed pitchers. I know this is a bullpen day opening up with JT Chargois, but there's only 3 lefties available in the bullpen for the Rays tonight. So the rest of the guys are righties. So there's going to be opportunity here for the Blue Jays to take advantage of that. Like I mentioned earlier, Rays have been struggling from the batting perspective lately, more specifically against starting right-handed pitchers at home. And we saw that through the entirety of the Astros series. To me, it's kind of hard to tell. Will they struggle against Barrios, who struggles on the road? I'm not sure. But one thing I do know is Jays smash righties on the road. And that's, for me, from what I'm seeing, most likely they're going to see a lot of righties coming out of the bullpen here. The Jays are also 18-7 straight up in the opening games of a series, following a loss to close out the previous series. And that's including winning the last 6 instances. That's the same position they're going to be in today. I do trust the Jays to put up a little bit more runs than the Rays do, like I said, based on the current form. So to me, the Jays money line is the way that I'll be looking.
Ronald is going with the Jays money line. I absolutely love some of those angles you brought up about how Toronto was able to perform coming off a loss in the last game of the series. The way that both of you guys described it, I mean, we have Kevin on Tampa Bay, we have Ronald on Toronto. Unfortunately, I'm not a tiebreaker here because my eye is actually going to be on that total of 7.5, because I actually do think Barrios, despite his inability to really find his form on the road, is a better pitcher than he gets credit for. Blue Jays offense went a little nuclear. Of course, they had that 18-run outing 2 games ago. Came back down to a normal baseball score last night. But the Rays offense really might be their Achilles heel. They remind me very much so of the Milwaukee Brewers in the NL, except I think the Rays, in terms of a staff, have a deeper staff. Of course, I think the Brewers have a better starting pitching staff, but it's the offense that, while pitching would certainly keep you in so many games and can even win you series at times, you need to have a balance. You need to have the ability to also score runs, because if your starting pitcher's holding the other team just to, 1 or 2 runs, but you can't score 1 or 2 runs yourself, it's going to be tough to win a playoff series and, of course, the World Series. Huge game. I love how close some of these pennant and wild card races are. I'm very excited to see how this plays out. And both these teams need to win, so you know that they should have their A game going. So we're going to move now to an NL East showdown. We have Kevin's Philadelphia Phillies taking on the Atlanta Braves. Max Fried on the hill for Atlanta, who has been fantastic on the road this season. Ranger Suarez, who had his up and downs this season, but actually seems to have settled in as of late. A couple of shaky starts, but overall course of the season has been a pretty solid pitcher. Again, must-win baseball, which what more can you ask for? I mean, the Phillies, they were able to take that game last night, which was huge from them. But before that, they lost 3 to Atlanta. And, of course, that first game against Toronto in that series and that 18-11 loss. So, I mean, their offense did their part there. But it's tough. The Braves have that 1-game deficit to the Mets in the AL East. The Phillies have a little bit of a lead in the wild card. But, again, that can evaporate if they do not win. Another instance of teams just needing to win, which is just so interesting to me because, again, only one of these teams can win. One team's going to suffer. Is that team losing now really going to miss the playoffs? Potentially, yeah. Braves lead this season series 9-6. They're about minus 140, minus 145. Road favorites, Philly plus 120 on that money line. Total sitting low at 7.5, and we know how these teams can do against each other. Again, this is, I think, the 3rd time Fried will be facing the Phillies, and Suarez the 4th time facing the Braves. We're going to start with Ronald this time. Ronald, how are you looking to bet this game today?
Yeah, we talked about Fried and Ranger Suarez, lefty versus lefty matchup here. Fried has been pretty dominant both on the road and at home. Suarez has been solid this season as well, but has struggled a little bit more at home than he does on the road. He's pitched 12 games at home, and he has a 4.7 ERA in those games. Opposing teams are averaging 5.25 runs. From a bat perspective, Braves, they love facing lefties on the road, batting 275, averaging nearly 6 runs per game in those spots. Phillies struggle a little bit more against starting right-handed pitchers at home than they do against lefties. But really, the gap between the two isn't that significant as far as lefty versus righty for Phillies. I'm actually looking at a team total in this one, more so than the side. When Ranger Suarez starts at home, opposing teams have scored 4 or more runs in 9 straight games. From the Braves side, in 20 out of 24 games on the road against starting lefties, the Braves have scored 4 or more runs in those 20 games. It's fairly juiced, but I do like the Braves to go over their 3.5 team total here.
Braves team total over 3.5. Just like with baseball season long, you don't have to necessarily go on a side or a total to find value. There are so many ways to find value in a team total in this matchup, though I think that might be juiced a little bit. As we like to say, don't pay juice on a winner. I really like that angle. We all know how good the Braves offense can be. And Suarez, like you said, I have those stats as well for him on the road. 4.7 ERA, 4.22 slugging percentage against, 4.12 FIP. Despite the fact that the Phillies, that Suarez is worse on the road, the Phillies are actually 7-5 in his road starts this season. But if you're looking at a team total angle, you're, of course, not going to worry about who's actually winning this game. You just know that Suarez is susceptible to letting up runs at home, and the Braves, of course, are one of the better offenses in all of baseball. So, Kevin, you have Ronald looking at a team total for the Braves. 3.5 is given with a total of 7.5, 3.5 runs. Certainly seems like that could be a winner for Atlanta. Phillies need this game. Do you think your Phillies are going to, show up today and prove that they are really a contender in this wild card, or is this a spot where the Phillies might be letting you guys down again?
No, I think it started when that Blue Jays thumped them, that 18 runs there. I mean, they actually went to Garrett Stubbs, the catcher, who had 2 strikeouts in the last inning. I mean, then the next game, they come with Wheeler and then go with Syndergaard. So they're pulling out all the stops here because they know they are only 2 games up in the wild card against the Brewers, and that is not enough, especially at home, especially after being swept by the Blue Jays or being swept by the Braves before facing the Blue Jays. This is a must win for them. Now, I know Ranger Suarez isn't great at home as he is on the road, but they did meet these two, him and Fried, and he outpitched Fried in that game on the road. So I think he can live up at home here for this one. I think he's going to get extra motivation because the fans, I know it's been raining on and off around here, so they're still going to come out. This is a huge game for the Phillies here. And I know it is for the Braves because they want to jump the Mets there, but these Phillies need this home game, and I expect them to come out. And look, that last game, they saved Hand for tonight, and they can go back to Robertson again to finish the game off. So I think the bullpen will be sitting prettier for the Phillies than the Braves tonight. So I'm willing to take the +1 at 22 that hasn't moved, even though only 26% of the public's on it. You think that would have been way higher. And the Braves at 1-145, I think that's when only 26% of the public's on a team, that's usually about 180, 170, because then you can jump on the point and a half run line. So something's going on there. So I'm willing to take the Phillies +122 and cash out a little extra money tonight.
Absolutely love that. Kevin, of course, knows his team like the back of his hand, and I sense no bias in that. That's very straightforward looking at that team, being very rational, seeing what they have, and I think that bullpen being a little bit fresher in Philly is certainly a huge advantage in this kind of matchup. I'm looking at this game, and my bet that I wrote about actually for an article on SportsMemo this morning is taking the Phillies plus that 1.5 in this matchup, simply because though my numbers say that the Braves are the better team on the money line tonight, and I would venture to say that the Braves will win this game, I'm not giving out both sides. My bet is on the Phillies plus 1.5. I think just based on pricing, that Phillies plus 1.5 at one point was like, when I got it this morning, was at -135, and the Braves on the money line were like -140. So I would certainly go and take that run line for Philly tonight. And like you mentioned, that this is a do or die game, more so for Philly. Of course, the Braves want to surpass the Mets in the NL East, but I think you need to consider how important winning the NL East is. Because if you're the Braves or the Mets, whoever ends up losing, now you have to play a wild card series against a tough, probably San Diego team that, while they struggle and have had their ups and downs this season, they have one of the better pitching staffs that if their offense can finally wake up, even if it's in a 3-game series, you're facing 3 fantastic stars that are going to be tough to beat. And then you have to go play the Dodgers. And obviously that's a team that has that target on their backs. They have the best record. I don't believe they're the best team personally. I think the Astros have that. I have the Mets at 2. Digression regardless, though. There's so much riding on these games today, and I think it's just great to really see how they transpire. I want to quickly say that everybody in the comment section, we appreciate you, and that liking this video and subscribing to this channel is the best way to support us. So we would very much so appreciate if you could do that. I want to quickly talk about a question that Tariq in the comments has mentioned, asking if the fact that Verlander, of course, one of the living legends, is potentially his final or second to last start, of course, in the regular season. We should certainly see him in the postseason. Do you guys find a betting angle on that? I'll answer that first, and I'll be brief. I do not think that is a great strategy to say, oh, hey, it's Verlander's start. Let's lay the juice or whatever it is on this matchup solely because it's Verlander's last start. In the postseason, in a championship series, in maybe a potential elimination game, for either way, the Astros might be eliminated or the Astros need Verlander to pitch well to win. I think maybe there's more stock in him potentially having one of those last starts. But overall, I don't think that there is an edge per se, given especially if depending on how big of a favorite he is. Tonight against Baltimore, he is pitching. They're looking around -180 to -190 favorites. I don't think that's enough to justify that, even though you do not pay juice on the winner. Kevin, Ronald, do you have any insight on that or thoughts on that question?
Well, to me, just looking into it, just briefly, I didn't really cap this game. It wasn't, when you see a -190, sometimes you kind of look towards a different way. But just knowing that it's Justin Verlander as a road favorite, I think the Astros are 8-2 in his starts as a road favorite. That's something that you could look at. And then the Orioles, they want to get into this wild card, right? So they want to be able to make sure that they get into the playoffs here if they have a chance. And, so they have a lot of motivation from that aspect. But for me, just seeing the line at -190 at this point, and knowing that the motivation sort of has flip-flopped, it's hard to back that situation here. That's just my opinion.
Kevin, thoughts?
Verlander is one of those guys where I'll take the other team in the first 3 innings because he's one of those guys that needs the first inning to get going. He usually gives up 1 or 2. I mean, in the postseason back in the day with the Yankees, that if you can tag him in the first inning, that's when you can score runs. So you still get a ton of value. And if he's going to give up a run, it's going to be in the first 3. So I'd always bet against him in the first 3. And sometimes it's hit or miss, but for the value, you can't go wrong. Verlander is one of those guys. Once he starts getting the reps up in reps, then he gets better as he gets his velocity gets up. He gets more juiced up. So there's a couple guys, Doc Holliday and a couple of the Cardinals pitchers back in the day. I used to bet against them first 3 because after the first 3, they were locked in. So
that's a great point. Appreciate that question, Tariq. We're now going to head to the third and final matchup, AL Central Showdown, Cleveland Guardians, Chicago White Sox. The White Sox were favored against the Guardians last night, and that's just honestly laughable at this point. Chicago, their roster obviously is talented. They've dealt with a bunch of injuries, the whole Tony La Russa saga and whatnot. The moral of the story is the 2022 Chicago White Sox were just not a good baseball team. Tonight, they at one point made the AL Central race a race. The Guardians now have a 6-game lead in that division, and the White Sox don't look like they're going to make a wild card based on the Mariners and the Orioles being ahead of them. So Chicago's season, it looks like it is ticking, and will boom. And unfortunately, they won't make anything out of this. Bieber versus Cueto. Shane Bieber not having as amazing as the season as last year, but still a great season. A lot to like about him this year. Cueto's done some good things at times, but overall, I mean, Johnny Cueto at this point in his career is certainly not what he once was. This will actually be the last time these two teams face, and the Guardians have a lead on the season series. This matchup, Cleveland's around -140, -150 favorite. White Sox around +120-ish, depending where you look. Total at 7. We're going to start with you this time, Kevin. Where are you finding value here?
I'm loving the White Sox at the plus money. It's hard to sweep a team, especially on the road. And one of Johnny Cueto's best performances this season was against these Guardians. He went 8 innings, gave up 5 hits, 0 earned runs, and I think he only had like 2 strikeouts. And That's enough for me to go with them. I mean, like you said, they have all the talent in the world. I don't know what's going on. They were hands down probably the favorite to win the AL Central. 6 games back. Neither of these teams, if you don't win the Central, are making the playoffs because you have the Mariners, like you said, the Rays, the Blue Jays. The AL wild card will be definitely a tight race, and none of the teams from the AL Central will be involved in that race.
It's a great point. It's the AL East potentially could have 4 playoff teams, which sounds crazy. Unlikely because, of course, Seattle's still there and they're actually playing poorly now, but so are the Orioles. Lady Luck might have ran out on Baltimore, but again, we have time. We have things that can happen. Nothing is set in stone and over, so we'll see. Want a huge shout out to Joe D'Amico in the audience, obviously our sexy and savory host that's always here. We love you, Joe. Appreciate the support. Ronald, talk to me. Are you agreeing with Kevin here, or do you have a different take on this game?
I feel like me and Kevin has been going back and forth through the whole show, and we're gonna do it again here. I'm actually looking towards the Guardians here. Bieber, he's been pretty consistent, throughout the season, wherever he pitches, road or home. Cueto, he's struggled a little bit in his last few starts, 1-2 in his last 3 games, the ERA close to 4. White Sox are looking to avoid the series sweep. Kevin mentioned, it's hard to get swept in the MLB here. But with Bieber on the mound, it's actually going to, to me, I like Bieber on the mound here in this spot here. This is a little nugget that I want to drop for you guys. When the Guardians are favorites in the last game of a 3-game series that they're trying to sweep, so they won the first 2 games, they're 11-4 straight up. So they've been able to be successful in this specific position as far as trying to close out these sweeps. If the starter in those games is Shane Bieber, they're 3-0 straight up and on the run line. They won all 3 games here by 3 runs. So for me, like short and sweet, just I'm looking towards the Guardians here, and I don't mind taking them on the run line. I think they could win this one probably by 3 again.
Yeah, so the Guardians, of course, they are proven to be the dominant team in the AL Central. Just a matter of time until they lock that in. I love the fact that Kevin and Ronald are on different sides for most of these games. I absolutely love that. And while I haven't been able to play fully, break that split down the middle, I actually do have my best bet of the show on this game, which we're going to get to in just a second. Again, everybody in the audience, liking and subscribing is by far the best thing you can do to support not only the Cappers here, the entire SportsMemo family. So we truly appreciate it if you could do that. Right now on sportsmemo.com, we still have some of our $2 Tuesday Cappers. I know it's Thursday, but they opted to do some football out of customer appreciation for you. So those are still all up. You could buy each of them individually. Rob Vinciletti's 5% NFL play, Buster Sports, you got a CFB 5% play, and Jesse Shule, the great Jesse Shule, with an NFL Game of the Week 5%. All of those picks are $2 a piece, or all 3 for $5, which certainly recommend checking those guys out. But we have a panel still here. We're going to get to our best bet segment. We're going to start with Kevin. Kevin, what have you been doing lately? What do you have on the premium side for tonight or this weekend? And talk to me, what's your best bet for the show today?
Well, like I said earlier, football's here, and tonight I got a trifecta where you can get my college football, NFL, and my baseball all in one package. Great discount deal there. Or you can buy each of them individually if you're one of those people that just bet football. I'm locked in there tonight. College football, loving the ACC and the Big 12 there. And then baseball, I like to find that plus money winners for you. So any one of those, you can't go wrong. And then my best bet is I'm going to go with the Reds with Hunter Green on the mound. I know it's going to be a tough task against the Brewers, but I got him in the first 3 at plus 120. The kid didn't pitch for a month, came back and shut out the Cardinals, and he looked good. And like I said, I loved him all year. He's a flamethrower. I know Cabang. I know we both collect the cards and stuff, and finding a nice rookie card of him sign, is a hard thing to find. And people usually aren't wrong when they start putting prices on these guys. He's good. He's the future of the Reds. I hope they keep him long term there. On the other side, the Brewers, they're not scoring a lot. I mean, they're 2 games back, so they're pretty aggressive. Who goes tonight for them? Woodruff goes tonight for them, and he's another one like I was talking about Verlander. The guy's a stud, got all the intangibles, but the first 3 innings you can get to him. Last time he faced the Reds, he gave up 2 runs in the first 3 innings. So I'm willing to bet that the Reds can get him another 2 runs, hit him for 2 runs, and keep them under 1 for the first 3 innings for the plus 120.
Kevin Thomas doing absolutely fantastic work finding that plus money value in the MLB. And I need to just reiterate myself because, like I always love to say on this show, I'm a huge fan of great pitching. Hunter Green is fantastic, and that's a stud in the making in Cincinnati. So he was also touted, highly touted coming out of school. He was on Sports Illustrated on the front cover. Like, this guy had somewhat of a prophecy per se, or he had that hype coming out of school. And rough start to his MLB career, but guess what? The kid's 21 years old. And he's
Yeah,
going
how
to
much of that? How much of the injury, though? I know they said he had the shoulder injury. That's why they shut him down. How long was that injury? Because the kid does throw 100 miles an hour, so I don't know if that injury has been for a lot of those losses or was just recent. But I mean, I watched him in those games, man. That's a flamethrower there. So I think
yeah,
he can hold the Brewers unless McCutcheon gets to him. He's one of those guys that pitch around him and you'll be fine.
yeah. So I'm not too sure exactly on the injury. I know he was on that 15-day IL, but it looks like, again, he's back. He is set to go tonight against Woodruff. Fantastic pitching matchup. And again, Hunter Green, I just need to give those flowers, man. I really am going to enjoy watching him for hopefully the next decade plus. So thank you, Kevin, for that best bet. Looking forward to it. First 3 innings, not the first 5, first 3 plus money, Cincinnati Reds. Ronald, talk to me. I know you gave the viewers a sneak preview of what you're going for the best bet, but let's break it down in full. What do you got for us today, Cabang?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going back to what we discussed earlier on that Braves Phillies games. I know it sounded like we're kind of going on the opposite sides with Kevin, but to be honest, as long as I'm on the team total, it doesn't matter if Phillies win or Braves win. We just need them to get over the 3.5 there. And 2 of the big things that I mentioned earlier was the Ranger Suarez at home. Opposing teams have scored 4 or more runs in 9 straight games. And on the Braves side, in 20 out of 24 games, the Braves have scored against starting lefties on the road. The Braves have scored 4 or more runs. There's a lot of things pointing me in the direction of the Braves being successful to put up runs. Doesn't necessarily mean they win or lose. But when things happen like this, where you can focus on one aspect of the game and just say, hey, we just got to worry about this. Sometimes the juice doesn't matter. Minus 145, I don't mind taking that. When I have a good feeling, they could put up 4 or 5 runs. To me, I wouldn't say fairly easily, but I think they might be able to get that done prior to the 7th, 8th inning. And I like those types of games when you can feel comfortable in that situation. As far as the premium side, I have posted up college football. We got some NFL tonight on Thursday Night Football. My 5% play this weekend is on college football as well. So a lot of things to go for this weekend. Really excited for things to come, with the upcoming months. NBA season's coming up. I know we're all gearing up for that as well. It's just going to be exciting next few months here.
Yeah, I know Cabang is salivating for the NBA to come back. I know you love that. Great angle there on the Braves team total. Make sure to check out Ronald's 5% CFB play for this weekend, as well as everything Kevin has up for NFL and CFB for this upcoming weekend. 2 fantastic cappers that have proven track records of just winning. So literally no reason to not tap in. I'm going to finish off here. My best bet of the show is going to be on the Cleveland Guardians on the money line. We're going to break that. We had that 1-1 tie in this game. We had the White Sox. We the Guardians. I'm going with Ronald and back in the Guardians. This is really just a bet against Johnny Cueto and the White Sox in general. I mean, I understand how hard it is to sweep another MLB team on the road. Doesn't matter what team you are facing. But the Guardians really are building some momentum, while the White Sox, their season has clearly been, they've been defined by how poor they've been. The odds favorite to win the AL Central. Now they're literally staring down elimination, and I think that the Guardians are going to help put them in their place. Cueto, it's be a second time facing the Guardians, but at home this season, 3.98 ERA, 4.11 slugging percentage against, 4.47 FIP, and the White Sox are 4-7 on the money line in Cueto's home starts. On the other hand, you got the Guardians who are 12-5 on the money line, and Bieber's road starts this season. Bieber is just, again, one of those greats. 3.09 ERA at home, 2 on the road, 0.96 whip, 2.88 FIP. Again, I know it's difficult to sweep, but the Guardians at that small price of minus 145 as favorites, I think is similar to what Ronald said. If you really have an edge and you see minus 145 and your numbers tell you should be a minus 165, yes, you might not be dying to play that action, but at the same time, a winning bet is a winning bet. So I'd like to thank everybody for joining and commenting. Again, need to reiterate how important it is for you guys to like and subscribe, because that is what really helps us out. We're going to run through the best bets one more time and get you guys all ready to watch MLB and for Thursday Night Football. Kevin, best bet of the day?
I got the Reds first 3 plus 120, and I'm going to bet that 2 teams bunt the ball tonight.
Love that. Ronald, best bet?
You got the Braves here. Team total over 3.5, minus 145. Don't be scared of the juice there.
Don't be scared of the juice. That is a game prop. There are value in the game props. My best bet of the show, I'm going with the Cleveland Guardians on the money line. Similar juice, that 145. White Sox stink. Let's go Guardians. Let's go. Let's go Reds in the first 3.
Yeah.
Let's go Braves scoring 4 runs.
Real quick, Kevin, I do have some nice Hunter Green sitting over here. So, yeah, I'm excited for him to show up as well.
I love that. I'm very excited for tonight's slate. Thank you, everybody, again. Looking forward to seeing you next time. Have a great day, and best of luck on your bets tonight.